We're live. Hey everyone, and welcome to Under Construction, the show where I get to do one of the things I love to do most, which is base building. And we're going to get started in No Man's Sky. I love this game. I love base building this game, and one of the things I also love is cargo containers. So we're actually going to get started by building some interesting looking or realistic looking cargo containers. Now, I've just warped into a new system, so I'm going to grab one of these planets and head there. And we're going to set up a little base camp. So let's see what this planet is like. All right, Heimel planet. I don't think it actually really matters. We're in creative mode here. But I think I'm going to go for this nice blue planet over here, or teal. There we go. Get into game focus here. And just let the people know on Discord, I'm over on Tamargar's Discord, that we are live. Looks like some nice mountains there. Let's find a nice little flat spot to land. And anywhere will do, so why don't we just land right here? Here we are. So I like making these little cargo container bases, especially when I am starting a new base, and if it's just for mining, or it's just a place that I want to keep in essentially in a log so that I know I've been there. Might want to come back and do something. Rather than just putting up a base station, I like to build something that looks a little like a landing zone. Like I've gotten some cargo drop-offs and have started setting up like a little makeshift shelter. So I think I'm just going to go down here on this little beach here. Some interesting animals. Now that pets are a thing, I guess we can start collecting animals as well. Might be fun. See what we can grow. Maybe I'll do that as another show. Right now, we're just going to set up a little base here. All right, so let's get out our base computer. Let's stick it right there. No need to name anything right now. We can always rename things if we want to. But let's just get the base started. Claim site. Yes, please. All right. Okay, so cargo containers. Now, there's basically two types of cargo containers I really like to make. Large and small. And the large ones are neat because I kind of like to use them as shelters, and the small ones are good for sort of throwing around a base, making it look like it's lived in. So let's start with a small one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into structures, small structures, and I'm going to take the solid cube, and I'm going to put down two of those somewhere on the ground where it's, you can see how that left corner is kind of sticking up. That doesn't look the greatest, so I'm going to try to find somewhere where it's really good and in the ground. So like right there. And then we add a second one. Get that to attach. Don't know why it's, there we go. There, or there. That looks good. All right. I always like to err on the side of clipping the ground rather than floating above it. Just makes everything feel more solid, like it has a foundation, and it's just sort of like partially buried in the soil. That works for me. So that looks like a good small shipping container. Now, we also need to color it. So I'm going to go in and choose color. And let's make this one a red container. All right. And we can also choose to make it clean or rusted. Well, not with the small one, but we'll get to that. So now we have a closed off small cargo container, or basic shape. With these guys, sometimes I like adding, where are we? Ladders. Although I'm not sure what's going on with this update, but whenever I add ladders, oh, I see, it's just when I build. Right. So it's showing me where I can connect my ladders. And for this ladder, I'm actually going to mix up the color. So now we have, for a cargo container, we have red with the white detail color. I'm going to go to the black with red detail color, or gray with red detail color. For that one. Not sure if that changed anything. All right, so the last details on this small one are just some labels. So I'm going to go in, go over to decorations and decals or decals, and I'm going to do a number sequence. So I'm just going to, I use that little bar at the top to line up our numbers. So I'm going to line this up and make it so that we have, come on, slightly move it up there. Just try to align them, slowly moving my PS4 stick around. There we go. Now one of the things I'm doing also is that I can use some reference. So if I in Google here type in freight container or cargo container or shipping crate, and then go over to images. There's a red one right there. So we can see what these look like. So the ladder kind of symbolizes the sort of poles on the ends here, and you can see there's always some kind of data on it. Obviously we can't make stuff, or maybe we can make stuff small. Resizing things. Oh, the Maersk logo, one of my favorites. Cargo containers with the Maersk logo on it. Love it. So yeah, you can see what this kind of looks like, multiple colored containers stacked on top of each other. And maybe that's something we can get to in a future episode. But for now, let's just build out our container a little bit more. I'll pull up some reference material again here. I'm going to pick maybe one of these. This guy looks good. Open that up. Wait for it to load. Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to open the image here. Oh, it's tiny. That doesn't help at all. All right. Well, let's keep this guy open. Maybe make this a bit smaller. Does that work? Yes, it does. All right. So that's a little bit smaller. I can stick that in the corner. Oh, have it locked? Yes. All right, so let's put that up there. Use it as my reference. I'm not going to make exactly that, but I want to kind of get that feeling out of my cargo container. So maybe I'll put some more decals on this side. And what I'm going to do is size them. So make it smaller and try to get like a little bit of detail. Fortunately, we don't have letters, so we're just dealing with numbers here. But I can just make a little label. Oh, I gotta do that for every single letter or number. Great. This is going to take a little bit. That's okay. Building it is half the fun. More than half the fun. Maybe I'll double up on some numbers. That's about the right size. Hopefully it'll stop being blurry. That's okay, it can look like it was just a bad spray paint job. I feel like there's an animal right next to me. I just saw a giant fin come in on the screen. And then maybe go with, oh, that's as small as they get. What is over there? Oh, it's your tail. Hello. Alright, so I'm going to do... You know what? Before I add some more numbers, whoops. Grab this guy. Shrink him down. And then what I'll do here is... I'm actually going to use 2 of these. So what I'm going to do is come in from the edge of the red there. And then flip it. And extend it. And then bring this guy down. Now this is a lot of detail work. Honestly, if I am making a full base and I'm just putting some cargo containers in it, I don't put this much detail in because they're just a small piece of a larger base. No one's really ever going to be paying too much attention to those close details, unless they, well, unless they are, but they have the opportunity. But in my opinion, you can just make the base as a whole look better and not have to spend a lot of time on little details. But when the only thing you're building is a cargo container, you want to make sure that that cargo container looks good. Right, so there I combined 2 decals to make a, whoops, to make sort of like a different shape. And now I'm going to add some more numbers. So it's starting to look a lot like it's got detail information. Oops. You can see how it's a little bit like that cargo container reference we have. Reference is always good to have. Whenever you're doing any kind of art project, illustrating, drawing, painting, having something that you can actually look at from the real world to base your designs off of will give you some ideas and make things look more natural. I know I can't change the color of these decals. This one might be okay as a logo. Maybe not. Use some of these other ones as well. I'll show you that in a second. Maybe I'll just put another big one of these here. Yeah. And then maybe some over here. Blizzard. Oh, brother. Alright. Change things up so it's not all the same. So 899. So I'm going to put the number on this side as well. As an identifying cargo number. And like I said, change things up a bit. So you can make things symmetrical, but I find that by making them asymmetrical, so like the number on this side and the number on this side are in different spots, the logo is a different size and a different spot. And chili here. Just gives it a little bit more visual interest. Where's my ship? So this is a good time. I'm going to take a look at some more reference for the final step of our little guy. So I'm going to bring up my little window here again. Make that a bit larger. And go back to my search. And what we're going to do as a search is freight container graffiti. Because there is tons of graffiti on these shipping containers. Some really nice stuff sometimes. That's pretty cool. We're not going to do anything that elaborate. Obviously, we are limited by the tools we have in No Man's Sky, the decals that we have access to. And I should probably start unlocking some more of the unique stuff. But I've got what I've got in creative mode, and we're going to stick with it. So I think rather than doing these really nice sort of art style ones, we're going to do some stuff that's a little bit more like this guy here. Just get a bigger image of that. Where'd it go? This one? Nope. This one? Yep. And then alright. It's a little bit smaller. I think that storm will pass soon. Alright. So the idea I'm going for here is how this has maybe been drawn in by somebody when the cargo container was in storage on a spaceship or a space station, and they just kind of tagged it with some graffiti. They didn't make anything super elaborate, and they didn't spend a lot of time building it. So shipping container. There it is. Still really cold, eh? Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to bring up these decals, and I like the contrast between the yellow and the red. And we're going to place them on, but just not in a spot that makes it look like it was meant to be there. And there's two ways of doing that. One is that we rotate the decal a little bit so it looks like it's hastily made. It's not perfectly straight. We can scale it. And then another thing I like to do is sort of make it so that it's off to the side. You can see it's kind of bleeding out over onto the snow there, but that's going to be fixed in a minute. So bleeding it off to the side also makes it look like it's not official. So put that in. Oh yeah, right. I meant to mention that the bleeding off the side ain't going to work. All right, so let's rotate. Nope, that's too straight angle. Just this a bit. Make it larger. It'll bleed into the snow, but it won't bleed into the other materials of the cargo container. So you see it doesn't get into the metal there. So I can actually do this. And then it looks like it's sort of sprayed over top of everything. But it disappears pretty quickly if we're not looking at it. Interesting. All right, so now we have our decal. Looks like it's kind of been graffitied. And now we're going to add another one. I'll use one of these guys. Make it smaller. Rotate it a bit. And we're going to overlap them. That's the next secret. Overlap. Graffiti covering other graffiti. And then maybe one more. This guy. I'll make him really small. Rotate. You can also duplicate as if it's a different type of design. It's not just meant to be one decal, it's meant to be some kind of art piece. There we go, we have some textury stuff in there. And then maybe we'll also do one over here, this green guy, covering a bit of our logo. And again, off to the side. See, now that's where the whole No Man's Sky layering of decals sometimes doesn't work. Oh, boo, I lost my logo there. So I'll add that guy back in. Oh, you know what? Let's try. Whoops. Decal first. Yeah, sure, why not? Facing down. And then, will this guy go underneath? No. Alright. So it might be hard to cover up some of the more official looking decals that we've got on there. Here I'm putting in some more stuff again, just to make it look like stuff has been pasted on. You get some sort of artifacting here on the side, but actually that's okay. It just looks like paint scratches. And there we go. We have a nice little shipping container. So I'm going to go to my little reference here. All right, so now one thing that can really sell the idea that this is a cargo container is stuff, as if we've already emptied it and put some stuff out. So what I like to do is go into the interior, and I'm going to grab a couple of things just to place around it, like I've taken them out and just placed them down and haven't really set up a full base yet. So the drawers works as some kind of cargo stuff. I love these on the ground. When I can put them on the ground, they don't always go on the ground well, especially not on the dirt. Wouldn't put any real big furniture. And some of this stuff doesn't look good if it's on an angle. Could do that, but here, these kind of storage units. There's a couple of boxes under storage as well. I'll grab a couple of those after. Whoops. There we go. And then do clusters. This is another aspect that I think works really well, is doing clusters of things. It doesn't have to be all the same stuff, but just clusters of boxes, like they've just been pulled out. And you can also put things on top of other stuff. I'm sure you know that, but that makes it look like you just hastily emptied a cargo container, put some stuff around. One of my favorite pieces under lights is this little camping light. It makes stuff look really great at night, and gives us a little bit of a temporary lighting solution idea. So there we have that. And I just put up a couple of these things around the shipping container to make it look like it's been emptied or in the process of being emptied. Go back to interior. Actually, you know what? Let's take my advice and go to structures. No, tech. Storage. Yeah, and grab a couple of these. Crates. I like these because we can color them. So we can pick something kind of doesn't necessarily clash, but is different from the cargo container, so that it looks more hodgepodgey. Kind of like how all those cargo containers stacked on one another had a very multicolor look to it. There we go. This looks good from that end. Looks really good here. Come around to this side. Yeah, pretty good. This side is the most bare bones, but it still looks good. And if we're building our base out this way, then we've put all the sort of most visually interesting stuff on the one side. All right, so now let's make our big cargo container. So this time we're going to go back into, I think I'm going to make a green one, back into our structures, small, but this time we're going to use the cuboid room. Now, I used to make these a lot more before the update with the power update, where now we had power stations and had to supply power. So even if you turn that feature off, you still have sort of like red or blue wires that run around, and it looks a little bit less like a cargo container now. Now you also notice that it's pushed the ground away, so it doesn't really look like it's sitting on the ground anymore. It looks like it's floating, but there's a really simple fix to that. So if I go, where is it? Oh yeah, right. It is under Specialist, under Foundations, and we use the cuboid frame. And sometimes I like to pick contrasting color. And just remember, with the cuboid frame, you're really only looking at the interior or the detail color. So I'm actually, you know what, I'm going to stick with red. Get 2, and you can see the red corners there. So now it looks like a cargo container, but it looks like it's a cargo container with some kind of support structure underneath it. And it just looks kind of neat with those wires as well, so it works out. And that makes sense because now we're using the large cargo container as a sort of makeshift office. So we're going to take a look at that again. Oh, did I close my window? No, I did not. All right. So open this guy up again. Go back to our search, freight container, office. Yeah, so you can see a lot of people, there's some pretty crazy ones too, but it's kind of become a fad or a trend to have shipping containers. Oh, why is it always opening it at the back? No, no, no. There we go. Kind of like building out a living structure or an office from a shipping container, or even building crazy structures completely built out of shipping containers. I mean, that's a staircase in there. So yeah, here they have offices, double-decker basically, where you walk up the stairs to your office room, and it's one giant sort of hangar-looking place, but all the individual rooms are built out of shipping containers. So we're not going to get this elaborate. I've done that before, where I've added stairs to the side of what looks like a shipping container. And maybe actually we will do that as a bonus, because I'm actually kind of having fun building shipping containers. But first we're going to do one of these basic large ones. So I've got the structure, got the container. I'm going to make sure I set its color to green. So it's a more vibrant green. And then I'm going to use this color here so that those support strut corners are sort of like a, oh, did it do it right? Yeah, sort of like an off orange. Works better with the green color I've used. And now, to make it look like it's a shipping container turned into a living structure, I'm going to go back to small buildings. I'm going to add a door, You know what? I'm going to choose a different color for this one as well. So there we now have a door. Obviously it's going to be red inside because we don't have that power. And I'm going to add a ramp right into the ground there so that it clips nicely. Again, just makes it look like it's touching the ground. So potentially it looks like that is a ramp that folds out from this sort of access hatch. I can still put a ladder on the other side. Let's do that now. Go back to green. See, there we go. See, this is the thing I was talking about. I don't know. I don't really like how it makes those additional handles show up. I don't know if that's a glitch or what. It doesn't look terrible, and we can sort of add some stuff to the outside to make it look like this is a kind of a prefab cargo container that was always designed to be used for this sort of live-in purpose. So what I'm going to do first is add a window. So like you can see in one of the other examples we had that there was a window. And I'm going to add one window, I think, here. And then stagger it on the other side so that it's, come on, there. So that now I have a corner without a window on each end and a corner with, although I probably won't be building too much on this side because of the door. And I want to keep the power off for now, but you'll see we can also add some stuff. It makes it look a little bit more like this has been set up as a temporary base. We're going to want to add more decals to this one as well. So I'm going to go down to decoration, decals, and this time I think I'm going to go with yellow. And then we have the window to contend with, so maybe I'll just put my numbers down here. You know what? I'm changing my mind on the color. I got both in there. I'm going to go with gray because this green, it's not really a vibrant green, and it is making me think of like a military style container. So maybe we're making a little military base here. A little bit of a longer number sequence. Maybe I won't put it on both sides, but if I do, it's 445.19. Yeah, we're gonna need something nice over here, so start at the side. 4. Come on. 4. And you can see I'm being approximate with my lining things up. It's not perfect. Again, for the most part, you're really not going to notice that detail unless you get up really close. And that's one of the things I learned, at least be an avid miniature painter. Haven't done it in a long time, but miniature painting, you always have to think of what details need to look good when someone picks up the model and looks at it up close, but also how much detail is required in a model that's just going to sit on the table. So for wargaming, those models aren't picked up, or at least they're not picked up to examine how beautiful they are. They're just rank and file troops. So you can actually get away with not having too much detail and still have them look good, as long as you've got some detail on there. So I'm going to use this decal sort of as our military logo, but I'm actually going to use it upside down and make it a bit smaller. I'm going to put a couple of these on here, so I'll put one up here. And one over here. this side. And then just some detail information. What I'm going to do here is shrink that as much as I can. And then put a couple, so they look like some kind of directional icons. And then use this line as well. Go to white to match these guys. Nope, not bigger, smaller. So yeah, and I walk by, it just looks like some detail information. You got this. We could maybe not put any graffiti on this one, like the graffiti artist knew it's probably not a good idea to muck around with military shipping containers. Now, if we end up building out our base and moving up into these mountains, or where our ship is, not mountains, but hills, we can see the tops of our cargo containers. So we could also actually add some decals to the top here. I'm going to stick with white so that it's really visible. And these are a little bit harder because they tend to rearrange themselves. So that 44519 might not be the best because it's going to, the numbers aren't going to line up very properly. Let's see, I'm already having trouble trying to line it up with the side. So instead, I like to use sort of basic ones where I know I can just rotate it, get it in there, and put it in place. Now, could I have done this with the numbers as well? Yeah, but you can see it's very finicky at times. So trying to line up a bunch of stuff together takes a lot of time. So if you really want to do it, you can, but it's not always fun. All right, so we have the window there, so it's gotten rid of our little superfluous rungs from a ladder that's not there. So we only really have to deal with the one over here. So I'm going to stay in decoration, I'm going to go into interior, and I'm going to grab something I can attach to the wall, like this guy. I'm going to make it a little bit larger, black, have it stick into the, I should probably do this right from the front so I can make sure it's straight on. Oof, of course that guy's in the way. Alright, well this will have to do. Oh, too small. Dope. Oh, that actually looks kind of good. Make that a little bit larger. And then be very careful as I move it around. Try to get it. Oh, come on. Just slightly. There. So now it looks like some kind of device strapped onto the side of the shipping container. And we can, again, combine some stuff so that it looks like, I like to clip things a little bit. So I'll clip that as much as I can. No, it's too far. There. So now it looks like some kind of battery and air recycling combo built on the side of our shipping container habitat. All right, now it's time, I think, to give this thing some power. So I'm going to do the usual battery, and I'm going to put it somewhere where it looks like yes, I could access it, but maybe just out of the way so that we don't have to constantly look at it. I'm not the biggest fan of the power elements. I don't think they look all right, but I like boxier stuff, and these look like generators, to be honest. But they're just not my cup of tea. I like to sort of keep them out of the way most of the time. Sometimes I will showcase them just cause. In this case, it's like a gray. I'm going to put that near our power so that our cable isn't super visible. I know that we can use the cable hider, whatever it's called. But for now, I think I'm going to not do that. Maybe I can find some way of using it inside, which is another thing I like to do. Because then that sort of hologram projection doubles as some kind of screen. Okay, so now I'm going to put an array of solar panels. I'm going to do that on the roof here. And it turns that way. Cold. Right, perfect. And now we can actually go into our habitat. Warm up. And then, alright, so that's our battery. So I'll select that, and then, oh really, I gotta select this side. That's no good. I guess because the ladder's in the way? Alright, so let's replace this guy with somebody over here. And then wires. I'm going to grab this panel. So here. Clips a little bit through the ceiling, but that'll be okay. And then from here to our cargo container, and then link these two. I'm going to keep this door open for now. Of course, we haven't got any power in that battery yet, so still no power. I can do away with my reference. Always also build like a backup biofuel reactor. That here. And then connect it. And make sure it's full. So now we have power. So again, I'm going to add a couple of boxes around. But this time, I think maybe there's also some bigger stuff, some fuel in barrels. So for that, I like to go over to decoration and adornments, and these cylinders are great. And I like to think sometimes of these sort of like fuel containers as being a bit older and beat up, so I'm going to pick like an orange color and then this sort of rusted texture. Put one there. One thing I like about this sort of tan color is that it looks like a faded version of the orange one, so we can do orange and make it not rusted. And yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to either fix the ground a bit, or I can just leave it, because that actually doesn't look like it's floating too much. It looks pretty good. We can do decals on these guys as well. So go back to my numbers, but I'm going to use black. just for the sake of speed, I'm going to make these numbers 9 to 9. And then on this guy, shoot that down. Oh. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to make this one vertical. This guy is number 1, 11. All right, so we got some barrels. I'm going to go back to interior. Grab some drawers. Again, I'm sort of clustering things together. Looks like things were sort of taken out and put together. I'll put another chest of drawers here. Like so. Oh yeah, I'm going to put that light on it as well. Actually, you know what? We started to set up some computer tech, so maybe put this here. And then we've got, oh, that looks pretty bad there, but I'll live with that for now. So now we've got our shipping container base. You know what? I don't even think we need 2 of these guys. And we can probably make do without the biofuel reactor, but I'll keep it in as sort of like a backup. But we've got some stuff set up, some graffiti on this container, and just starting to look like a little base. Now, I could also have built this right around the base station so it doesn't look like it's off on its own, but didn't do that here. So maybe in our next episode, what we'll do is we'll come in here and we will try to fix up the area around this little base station over here. But there you have it. That's kind of like how I like to put together a couple of cargo containers for a sort of cargo drop just recently landed base. Anyways, I hope you had fun watching, and I will be back in the future. Take care.